This is the Christmas Invitational, brought to you, of course, by ASPC2. Or, if I can say that properly, let me just rewind and do that once again. This is the Christmas Invitational, brought to you by APSC2. Of course, that's a Spanish StarCraft 2 team that managed to throw this all together. Again, a rather impressive amount of players involved for how relatively small the prize pool is. Not that that's a problem by any means. It's 250 bucks or 250 euros, but there's a lot of CM Storm hardware, some gear involved to help make up that deficit. So that's pretty cool. Nowhere near the prize stages yet, though, guys. We're still just in the group stages for the time being. This is, we've transitioned from group stage number 1. We've moseyed on over here to group stage 6. And this is a rematch, so to speak. I'll talk about that more in a moment. So I am Rifkin, joined today by our awesome Observer Partoof. Spotted here in the top left corner of the map, though, playing for property. It's the red-headed Red Terran known as Morrow. And his opponent in the lower right, a man without a team, sponsored by Gosu Pizza, is the Teal Protoss, Arthur. So look at the brackets here real quick to give you guys an update of how today has gone. These two fought each other at the start of the day. Arthur took the victory against Morrow 2-0 in a rather decisive manner, but Morrow actually 2-0'd his way back, and Arthur actually ended up losing to Tefla, I guess? Either way, it's brought them here to fight once again, and Arthur, we'll see who can come out victorious this time. Actually, this entire group, worth noting, has been 2-0, 2-0, 2-0, 2-0, like depending on who won or lost. There's been no 2-1s. Now, I haven't seen Morrow play in a long time. Morrow, of course, used to be notorious for his race switching way back once upon a time. He was a really good player. Kind of, I don't know if he ever officially retired because I didn't really keep up with that, but he was not exactly the most active player in recent days. That being said, it's not like he's a bad player. It's not like he stopped playing the game entirely. And of course, it's one of the best Terran roommates, in my opinion, to show him the ropes. Anything's been missing out in the meantime. Arthur, though, is a player who, if you've not seen him before, first off, he's Korean, he's awesome, he's incredibly friendly. Like, seriously, I don't know that there's a more friendly player that I've interacted with in the entirety of StarCraft 2. That being said, he plays incredibly cheesy sometimes. It's kind of cool, because when you watch Arthur play, he's either going to play really standard against you, you're going to have to duke it out in a really macro-oriented, economically focused game, or you end up having to go against a lot of cheese. Warp prisms, proxy, blink, it doesn't matter. Arthur's capable of doing it all. Now, you do most commonly see Arthur do a lot of cheeses versus Zerg, and not so much versus Terran. You're going to pretty much need that more standard tech if you're not going to go for like a blink all-in or something, but we'll see what he chooses to do here versus Morrow. SCV getting back on home. Reaper, in the meantime, has not scouted much. He decided to look for proxies over top of anything else. I kind of like this move. Again, it's Arthur. You're not quite sure what you're going to be fighting against, so you got to cover all your bases. Mothership Core is going to actually be... Oh, no. Morrow's actually going to be in a bit of trouble here initially, because the Mothership Core is going to be able to deal with the initial amount of Marines available. With a stalker underneath it as well, Morrow's reinforcements won't even be enough. With a bunker being cancelled here, he can stop the command center from going down, but he's not focusing at Arthur. He's busy dealing with the Reaper at home instead. Loses a probe, but suddenly the Reaper realizes, like, I could go for probe kill, sure, but I need to go home to defend. Alright, well, 4 Marines at this point. Once these extra 3 come out, he can take a fight. 2 Stalkers, of course, can kite this for a while with a Time Warp underneath this, even more so. But Mothership Core perhaps getting a little bit too anxious, a little bit too greedy, throws down that Time Warp, and here we go, kiting begins. Stalker's already outranged your Marines by 1, but that doesn't really matter if you've got good control, and Arthur certainly is someone who's got control. Mothership Core does have to be careful. Again, this is a unit you don't want to give away. I mean, yes, technically, if you rebuild it, it gets rebuilt a little bit faster with more health and more energy, but, I mean, it's 100 gas, and as a Protoss player, you play very expensively with your gas, so you can't just throw it away quite so easily. Alright. Well, Stalkers do mosey on down. More towards the middle of the map. Arthur going to pick off that Reaper somehow with a sentry. Awkwardly does get pops. Alright, scan. Reveals the main. Shows double gateways, but there's no Robo. There's no Twilight Council. He doesn't see any of that. And that's going to make Morrow probably feel a little bit happier knowing it's just gateway aggression she's going to have to deal with. Oh, Stalkers on the other side of the map will be caught and will be pushed back. We are, of course, playing on the European server, which is worth noting, as Arthur is a Korean player. It's going to have some lag to deal with, not to make excuses for him, but of course that kind of explains the awkward response time. Sentry's walking across the map. Arthur in clear vision of the watchtower. He doesn't want to give away this pylon, so unfortunately he's forced to sacrifice the sentry. But I think Morrow might still know what's up. Canceling the pylon, decides to move it more northwards. But yeah, small push out of Morrow. 2 Marauders, a lot of Marines. Meant to go for an overcharge, but the Nexus isn't at home to force the overcharge. Instead, it's across the map still. Arthur is truly trapped behind enemy lines. Now, the force fields or the sentries are a really weird thing to see, right? So what you would expect at this point is lots of zealots, lots of stalkers, maybe even immortals or some sort of advanced tech. Arthur having opted to go for the sentries, he's expecting a lot of bunkers to be down, and Morrow certainly is putting a lot of bunkers down. Now, to explain why sentries and not zealots, because of course sentries don't have a lot of damage, is the force field around the bunker to make sure SCVs cannot repair it. But they get a very unfavorable engagement here at the ramp once again. This ramp alone, high ground vision, has claimed the lives of, like, I think 2 stalkers at this point. But okay, Arthur looking to be aggressive, pushing forward here just a little bit. Potentially gonna bust through these bunkers. I say potentially because we don't know if that's quite gonna happen. Guardian Shield goes off, gonna help reduce a lot of this damage, and the force fields go down. No repairs to be had. Morrow has got a lot of stalkers, or actually a lot of Marauders to deal with the stalkers, and that bunker's actually not going down. Just enough surface area on it, and Arthur's bust is proving to be not worth it here. A couple more zealots and stalkers being warped in, but this might just be him falling back fully and entirely. Again, that's a push that was not an all-in, but it was meant to do a lot of damage. Picking off 1 bunker, simply not enough. Not the damage Arthur wanted to get out of that aggression. Now he finds himself without +1 armor, without storm tech, without charge. He's got nothing coming up behind this other than just raw units. Well, where is the mothership core? Did it finally die? No, it's still alive in the very top left corner of the map. 10 shields remaining on it, 17 health. Oh my god, how is this thing not dead yet? Morrow, build a freaking Viking, please. I love Arthur, but this is stupid. This needs to be punished. There's 3 Marines waiting for it. Pylons clean up here around the 3rd base, so no more proxies coming in for Arthur anytime soon. Another probe's already actually been sent out, and a Dark Shrine comes up behind this. I don't know that he's necessarily behind enough to invoke the wrath of a Dark Shrine, but we'll see if he can make this work. It's always a little bit worrisome. You know, it's a very expensive investment that can sometimes not pay out. Terran players, of course, have lots of scans, and Morrow's already put down that priority, or the paranoia turret, as I like to call it, here at the front of the base of the Natural. Of course, it's mostly to catch observers, but sometimes it'll spot DTs for you. Looks like the mothership core comes in once again, and Morrow's actually repairing an SCV. Almost out repairs the damage. What the hell are we watching in the main? Alright, well, keep the SCVs alive, albeit strangely. Time Warp goes down, and the mothership core backs up once again. Why is this thing still alive? What is... Okay, whatever. Anyways, Templar Archive's finishing up in a second, and while the Dark Templar might not be the most effective units available to Arthur at the moment, the Archons certainly will be. But don't get me wrong, guys, lots of force scans to make Dark Templar not too bad of an investment. Alright, well, we'll see. 4 Dark Templar warped in across the map. Of course, realizing there's a turret there, Arthur decides to pull back. Does keep that one alive, but not for long. Splits them up through the scan. And that was not very cost effective. So to explain real quick, guys, typically with Dark Templar, you want to use, even if you get no kills with 1 Dark Templar, but you force a scan, it's almost worthwhile. Not quite, but almost. Unfortunately, though, losing 2-3 Dark Templar to a combination turret and the scan, that's gonna hurt. Cancels the SCV building command center. Now starts pushing out the middle of the map with the bulk of his army. Zealots, of course, do have charge, but there's no upgrades behind this. There's no 1-1 for either player. This is just going to be macro versus macro by the looks of it, and some micro involved too. Morrow and Arthur, though. Third base actually came down from Arthur, so surprisingly enough, this actually isn't that designated of an all-in. Just a very aggressive push. And this ramp, will this ramp kill Stalkers? No, Arthur says, screw it. I've lost too many Stalkers to this ramp. I'm going elsewhere on the map. So it comes around the eastern half of the map, going to push towards that third. Could be a really great engagement path for him. If he snipes off that, he's not going to snipe it off in time, but if he picks off that turret, the Dark Templar become infinitely more viable. Morrow, of course, banking up some energy for these scans, knowing that that may be something he needs right in the precipice. Archons on the front lines will do a lot of splash damage. Charge loss, getting some great connections. The force fields will lock a lot of these units in, but I don't know that this is a fight that Arthur can necessarily take. Still so many Marauders here in the north part. More force fields do go down to try and segment the army out, but it's not like Zerg, it's not like Roaches, and the Terran army just sims on forward. Stalkers, though, and the Dark Templar, whoa, no scans ever went down in this fight, so the Dark Templar actually were never picked off. Arthur getting quite a lot of extra damage, and because of this, they one-shot most of the SUVs. They don't quite one-shot Marines, but still, damage gets done. Now that they've been revealed, if Arthur wants, he can either fall back or make Archons. He's going to make Archons instead, continuing to press the fight forward. There's not a lot here left for Morrow. Arthur, though, is not exactly taking an army supply lead at this point. Now that the Archons are finished, he's actually not utilizing them. A bit awkward. The pylon comes down, perhaps a little too late. More Dark Templar, more Zealots warping in from that third, the very far up pylon over there. Trying to zone this army out. Another very awkward engagement being forced out once again. That turret is actually going to burn down, so might be able to use Dark Templar more later, but a small army versus a very stimmed out army. No energy left on these medevacs will mean they go down, and Arthur knows he can't push too far forward. There's that pesky turret that's really shutting down his Dark Templar, but charge slots are proven to be quite nice in this engagement. The Stalkers, I wish they'd focus down on the medevacs. They finally do start focusing down on the medevacs. Now it's just pure bio with absolutely no support. One medevac with no energy will not cut it. SCVs have been pulled, but the Archons are dead. There's no splash. Arthur can't exactly push in here. He's got a really nice army, but he's got to wait for reinforcements once again. Okay, pretty good fight so far. Morrow's going to lose this third, and I think he knows it. That's fine. It's like an acceptable loss. Salvaging the bunker. Might not actually give it up for free, though. Tries to save it. Dark Templar barely warps in. Moves outside of the range to scan. How many more scans are available? One. There's more than plenty. There's about 3 scans available readily, so the stealth detection won't be an issue, but the real issue is just this army trying to engage on top of these charge slots. Morrow doesn't have enough. Finally, Arthur, he's been fighting for about 7 minutes. He takes an army supply lead for the first time. Morrow's got a big reinforcement path coming from the south. I think it was moved out to maneuver elsewhere. SCVs here, though. SCV is going to be pulled. Yep, some force fields need to go down for sure, but if he does, it segments the wrong part of the army. Tries to catch a couple of these Marauders. God, if there were some Archons in this army, this would be devastating for Morrow, but because there aren't, he actually manages to get the SCVs out alive, pick off a couple more Stalkers, and fall back once again. But with no medevacs, he's got no chance to heal this army up. So many Marauders they'll provide to actually be incredibly useful, despite the fact they don't have a lot of damage. +1 weapons finish up for Morrow, so finally an advantage of his game, one way or the other. Arthur, of course, looks like, I don't know if it was killed or canceled, but that third base is not up and running for him. He's got no tech behind this still. He's just focused on keeping up this aggression. When these Archons finish... Well, actually, the Sim City here is going to be pretty hard to break. I think right now, if Arthur took his third, that might be his best case scenario. If he waits way too long, the upgrades are going to start toppling the favor of Morrow. These Zealots, even though they have charge, become less and less effective. This awkward medevac, it's got no energy, he knows it, so it's being sent out. And empty though, so he didn't take heavy losses from that or anything. As long as the Zealots on the front lines, as long as the Archons can connect, if 2 force fields go down here, look at this, oh, the choke point between that tech lab is actually devastating to look at. This mothership core, how is this mothership core still alive? Where did that come from? Holy freaking, what? Okay, there's a time warp, and so it's keeping Morrow at bay. There's still force fields, there's still guardian shields. Taking an engagement here is completely within the realm of possibility. It looks like that will happen. Time warp goes down. The force fields lock this army in place. The Archons need to be shooting the bio, not the barracks. And the Zealots are just awkwardly trying to connect. Morrow is just being mowed down, though. Arthur's still not ahead in army supply, but he's killed a lot of workers in this attack. Pulls back once again, and Morrow looks like he may actually be able to push Arthur all the way back to his base. Resources lost looking pretty much even somewhat at this point, but there's been 53 worker kills this game by Arthur so far. Holy smokes. Morrow actually has his third base still standing. I kind of would have liked if Arthur had focused that maybe while that was instead of the natural. I don't know, but one way or another, he's got to realize that he's going to start falling behind his tech. Morrow is going to actually supply, or not supply, factory block the third base, so Arthur cannot take that Nexus now, without clearing it out first, which should be a little bit annoying to deal with. Yeah, Probe, you go, girl. Good game is called, though. Morrow takes game number 1 in this best of 3.